All right, welcome back to episode. What are we at? 14 here. Recording at a little bit different time, but that doesn't matter to our listeners. It's me, Carson. I am how many miles away?
6,000.
Six
Wow.
thousand miles away in 9 time
I'm,
zones from Ken there in California. And we're here at the At Witt podcast, uh, chatting
hello,
different
everybody.
things. So, how you doing on this? What is a fine morning for you?
Yeah, it's getting dark.
Winter
So,
time is coming.
yeah, the sun has just risen. So, probably setting where you're at or already set.
Yeah, pretty close to it, which is crazy to think about, but that's the way.
Yeah.
That's the way that the Earth works. Pretty simple
And I
stuff.
know fall has already hit Austria, but it's just starting to hit California this weekend. So,
Yeah, it's the start of it
looking
here,
good.
so the trees are starting to
Yeah.
turn and everything. But yeah,
So,
with fall and the winter arriving, that means racing season is ending. So we're getting down to the last few races of the Formula One circuit. With that,
Grand Prix
the
of America.
U.S. Grand Prix just finished in Austin. I will say it was a fantastic race. And shout out to first Max Verstappen for winning the race. And then
Again.
shout out, yeah, another one. Shout out to Red Bull for sealing the constructors' title, a twin victory, Max winning the drivers and Red Bull winning the constructors' championship. So congrats to both of them.
Which is very appropriate, as well. Maybe you don't know. Dietrich, the owner, co-founder, co-owner of Red Bull, passed away on Saturday, I believe. Uh,
Sunday morning,
Basically
I
during
think it
the
was.
yeah, and I don't say his last name because I don't want to butcher it. I never get it right, but uh, what is it, Dietrich?
Mata
Let's just call him Didi.
Matashitz, Matashitz,
Yeah,
Matashwitz.
I mean that's why I'm a Red Bull fan. Is I've always been a fan of the company and Dietrich himself, one of the larger name companies out of Austria. We've been by his headquarters on Fusil am See in Salzburg, and here in North America, they're based in Santa Monica. So, I mean, he basically introduced the energy drink globally to the world, and it's arguably, I think, also changed sports marketing.
Yeah,
The red,
he took an energy drink and I mean an absolute visionary and turned an energy drink company into a marketing powerhouse.
yeah,
Like
I mean, it's
everyone.
not a energy drink company; it's a marketing company.
Yeah, I mean without his vision and how he built the company, I mean well respected company, absolutely internationally known by not only Americas and Europe, but Asia, Africa, international company, truly, and a powerhouse at that. You see the name everywhere. Everyone recognizes it. Everyone recognizes the flying
Mm.
bull. So yeah, he's a
And it's not just like common. I don't want to say everyday sports. I mean, he owns football companies in Europe or teams, but they went after the more unique, interesting, extreme. From the comical, the Red Bull races to the Red Bull
Flutad,
air show in Reno's
Red Bull
to
Flutad.
all kinds of different things. Even I just corresponded with them recently before Dietrich's death about getting into pickleball, and they actually they have an athlete they sponsor in, I believe it's Spain, for paddle, which is another form.
European variant.
It's
Oh,
Yeah,
older
but
and more common in Europe. Very
it's like
common
I told their head of sports marketing. I mean, pickleball's already surpassed paddle as far as um,
in the U.S.
participation. What's that?
In the U.S., not in Europe. Not even
Yeah,
close
but
to
I
Europe.
think you already have 5 million in the U.S. and nobody's ever heard of paddle outside of certain countries in Europe. So
I mean, paddle. Yeah, paddle is pretty common here. I see people carrying around their paddles. I don't know what they're called,
yeah,
but
but it's not on
here.
ESPN.
No, I will say that. But
Is it on Sky TV? I don't know. You
I
can
don't.
answer that.
Yeah, I
But
don't watch
getting back
TV.
to it, it was a phenomenal race. quite the tribute to Dee Dietrich. And one thing I did want to, it was an interesting, as you stated, a fun race. And I think Austin's a gorgeous track. It's a fun track. That uphill is unbelievable. The turns, I think the greatest G forces in racing are for F1 are at Austin. Seeing the Texas and U.S. flags on the corners, what a
Crazy.
great visual that is. The wind was perfect.
I think the
Large
atmosphere
crowd.
too, yeah, around it, like the crowd, 440,000 people, a record crowd over the
Wow, is
entire
that what it
weekend.
was?
Yeah, over the course of the
Oh, for the
weekend,
weekend.
440,000, which is a record. The celebrities, the pit walk,
Yeah,
I mean everything
but
about it
getting
was
getting
absolutely
to that on the paddock, I saw the guys from Sky News or the F1 crew chasing down celebrities. I thought it was embarrassing and comical.
but that's
Um,
that's a very important segment. Martin Brundle on his
it
grid walk,
is, but the fact that
because
like
it is.
Brad Pitt, did you see the where Brad Pitt was walking through and he was chasing him down, and Brad Pitt almost wanted nothing to do with him?
That's I think so there's a lot about this segment. It's always talked about. It's Martin Brundle doing his grid walk. I love it. It's so entertaining. He's incredible. He
I just,
acknowledges
I don't.
the he has acknowledged that he feels very weird when someone like he goes to talk to someone and someone doesn't want to talk to him. So he acknowledges that, but it's absolute, in my opinion, it's like world class entertainment. His pre race grid walks with all the celebrities and the drivers, the team
Well,
principals.
I've never really gotten into watching the pre-race stuff like that. It's just not, but this time I watched, well, one, it was in Austin, Brad Pitt's doing the F1 movie, but I felt so embarrassed and sad for him. It's not like the awards show where the celebrities want to be there in front of it, which is weird. I would have thought Brad Pitt would have stopped and maybe not talked about the movie because, quote, it's secret, what's
Yeah,
going on, but just to promote the sport. His best interview was the drummer from Green Day. Come
yeah,
on. I mean,
yeah.
that guy was, if they didn't have the scrolling on the bottom, nobody knew who he was. And did you see that one?
Yeah, yeah, it was great, and they had some. I know the broadcasters
His
had some
glasses were the
some.
best thing about that interview.
They had some puns talking about Green Day in that interview, but just as like a so Martin Brundle's grid walks are famous. They're that is the like they're very I don't want to say cringy, but like that's what they're all about. Like the celebrities don't like it, but I mean it's a part of the process. It's a part of watching F1 on Sky
But it's
T.
weird. Why don't the celebrities like it? I could
I
see like a driver or part of the crew not like it because they're busy setting up for the race.
The
But
drivers
the
love it.
celebrities, what's that?
I think the drivers enjoy it.
Which is weird because they're getting ready to race. Whereas a
Yeah,
celebrity, what is a celebrity? Someone who promotes himself constantly. You would think they'd want to get in front of the new. I don't want to say newest, but one of the more up and coming sports here. So
yeah, and it's.
I
I mean,
did
it's
enjoy the segment
for
because
the.
you had mentioned it on Andretti.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hadn't seen it where he was. I thought it was a tandem car, but he actually drove it himself
yeah.
with. Oh, what's his name? Uh, the principal from McLaren.
Zach Brown.
Yeah, Zach Brown. They were on the track together.
Yeah,
That was interesting to me. So
yeah, and I will say I'll finish just with the grid walk stuff. The reason, like, I think the F1 drivers, because they really enjoy Martin Brundle and his stuff. He's a character within the paddock and everything. I don't think celebrities know him as much, so he's very popular within F1. But like the celebrities don't know Martin Brundle, so there's this like random guy coming up.
well, that's the feeling I
Yeah,
got. Like with Brad Pitt again, it was like Brad Pitt thought he was like just some guy trying to get an interview,
yeah,
but here's the premier guy from Sky TV, Sky News, trying to track down interesting celebrities, and he's doing an F1 movie. So he
yeah.
really hasn't done his research much if he's avoiding Martin.
Yeah, yeah. When someone who knows what's going on is like Martin Brundle goes up to him and they know who Martin Brundle. They'll stop and talk to him, but
Yeah.
it's the people who don't
Like if you were walking through the
know.
paddock and Martin came up to you, you would stop and hug him and
Oh,
say,
I want
"I
his
love you,
autograph. I want
Martin."
his pictures. Yeah, he'd be one of the first
Yeah.
guys I want because I love him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
tangent there, but yeah, it's definitely an
well,
interesting
just
part of the podcast.
if we're getting off the race, the one thing about the race I did want to say is
Yeah,
what an awesome wheelie Fernando
yeah. Fernando
had.
Alonso's crash.
If anybody watched the race, there was an accident. I don't remember what lap, but everybody said he went airborne. He didn't go airborne. He actually rode up on the rear wheel and it popped up the front of the car. And he probably went 20 yards into the wall riding a wheelie in an F1 car,
Yeah,
which was amazing to
and
me.
then landed it, got a new wing, and was back in the
Landed
race.
it and continued racing
Finished
and finished seventh.
finished seventh, but with his penalty, finished 15th. Because
And why was he penalized?
later on, due to that crash later in the race, they think because of the
His
crash,
mirror
his
fell off.
mirror got jostled and it fell off, which is a danger on the track. And so they were, I think, told about it and didn't take off the mirror. And so because of that, and because it flew off during racing,
So if they'd have taken it off, it wouldn't have been a penalty. But I think they should have awarded him extra points just for riding that wheelie through the race. That was
but I will
phenomenal.
say the
So
driver of the day, Sebastian Vettel, absolute fantastic drive from him. A
yeah,
shame with his pit fiasco, but his
that
driving,
was embarrassing.
yeah, his driving was he looked incredible for a guy that's retiring. I mean, wow, what
Yeah,
a drive from him.
that pit was what 14
No,
seconds,
he
something like
was
that.
stopped for like 31 seconds, I think it was, without moving, and then you add in the
Yeah,
20
I
seconds
would
for
love to be the fly on the wall for the
yeah first race.
follow up with the pit
Yeah,
crew.
yeah. Him and
Yeah,
Max's slow stop that caused him to go first to third. That was
yeah.
another one, but yeah,
But all in all, a great
yeah,
race, and shout out to Austin and the
yeah. Very
U.S.
fun track. Definitely recommend. So yeah, getting into the main part of the episode, you've been doing some different things on the weekend. So I saw that you went to a certain new festival, music festival in Sacramento.
Well, yeah, it's been about a week now. I think we had some technical difficulties and we're both traveling, so we delayed it. So it's been a week, and I'm wearing my shirt. I usually don't buy concert shirts anymore. This is one I did get because it was pointed out to me this is the first ever, and you'd want to get some memorabilia, some merch. So I went ahead, and quite frankly, anybody that goes to concerts know they definitely charge a premium. And I think this shirt was 30, but a lot of concerts it's 40, $50 for a cheap t-shirt,
Yeah,
and it's on both sides, great colors. So that being said, it is Golden Sky Festival. I can't remember the promoter, and it's not that big a deal. You guys can look it
yeah,
up.
whatever.
But it's a country fest, 2 days at River Park in Sacramento. The weather
Discovery
was
Park, right?
great. Discovery Park,
Yeah.
I think River Park, Discovery, everybody would
Discovery
know.
Park is
Basically,
on the
the
river in Sacramento.
I-5, well, I should, Interstate 5, or the 5, as people in California call it, goes right through the festival. So, if you were driving through and you wondered what all the lights and screaming and people were, that was it. I will say, I think we've discussed it before about concerts. I'm not really into festivals anymore. I'm getting too old. But our followers comped me some VIP tickets, so I'm definitely. And the lineup was one I did want to see, and I'll get into that in a minute. But the organizers, I will say, did a great job. Um, we drove in. We didn't get there early for the first acts. We drove in on Saturday, I think about 2. No problem getting off the 5 and into the parking lot. We had a VIP pass, but it looked like both sides, the paid parking, people walking, not a problem
How
at all. So the
how many
crowd,
people do you think were at the festival?
I think 20 to 25,000 is what the gal at the beer stand said.
It's not
Um,
huge, but good size.
it seemed like more, but based on because they expected only 12 to 15,000 a day. and she said they were over 20,000 Saturday.
Interesting.
So it could have been more, and far exceeded their expectations. And I will say,
That's a weird.
I was
I want to say real quick that's a weird thing to expect 12 to 15 and then sell 20,000 tickets. Like that's kind of a weird thing.
yeah.
Like you think,
Well, that's what they ran out of merchandise the first
yeah,
day,
you think
and
they
they
would
were having people order it
that you
online.
think they would just sell out, right? They would just cut it at some point because of
But I think
logistics.
part of the problem is, after COVID, everybody's touring, and Willie Nelson was on his family tour in Wheatland on Saturday too, which is sold out
Yeah,
probably 9 months
yeah.
ago. I saw no real advertising for the Golden Sky Festival, so I was kind of shocked. And I think with school being back in fall, it was tapering off. So I was shocked at the crowd too, but I was more shocked at how easy it was to get in, and quite frankly, easy to get out. So on both days, and the way for those of you into metal hard rock, the week before was Aftershock,
uh,
and Aftershock is one of the premier festivals, in the country. Slipknot.
it's a rock
Who?
fest. Yeah,
Yeah, who was my Kiss was there this year. I
really.
didn't go. Yeah, and it's funny because well, being costume. Somebody said, "Well, God, they're too old to be wearing costumes." I go, "No, that's the greatest marketing ever was wearing costumes because you can't tell their age." But one of the band members, again, the beer girl, told me about the festival. She said it was phenomenal, and he came in on a zip line onto stage. So,
Interesting, interesting.
yeah. But as far as the lineup for Golden
Well,
Sky,
before we
oh,
so
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, you're talking about the beer gal, so festival. How were the festival logistics as far as food, bathroom setup, standing
Well,
around,
we had
everything?
VIP passes. So being an old geezer, I don't like standing in line.
This
I
is
want a
yeah,
seat.
this is why I think you don't like the festival experience as much as these things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, like Tortuga in Florida, they had seating, stages and stuff on the beach. But that I was expecting a seat somewhere. Yeah, we did bring a blanket because it was all day, and just sitting on the grass. And the way they had it sectioned out, it looked like there were more VIP tickets sold than there was general admission. So they kind of had an area in the middle. It's a festival, two stages, two main stages. One act would play, and the other act was setting up. So you got people going back and forth. Um,
yeah.
Logistically, I thought it was pretty good. I thought the VIP wasn't that much better than the general admission. And then, in
We're
front of the stage, they basically had a single aisleway for the performers
yeah.
and the crew to walk. So on half the side was general admission, the other half was
Was
VIP.
there like less people? Was there like specific VIP food and beer tents like to get you less
Yeah,
lines?
yeah, that's the one thing. I never had to wait in line for any
Yeah,
beer or anything. There was plenty of that. The restrooms are still packed, but if you went when an act was playing, it was much easier. They did have an area where you could sit on couches and watch it on a big screen, which was kind of like watching it in somebody's yard at home. So, I saw people there the whole time, and I'm thinking, why would you do this and pay this money to sit on a couch and watch it outdoors on a big screen? But all in all, I thought it was pretty good. The headliner Saturday, and pretty much I think for the whole festival, was Tim McGraw.
well, no,
You've seen him
they had
before.
two headliners.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to go to that. He was Sunday. Tim McGraw. I think everybody loves Tim McGraw. He's on the Yellowstone,
Yeah, he's Tim
1883,
McGraw.
super famous, number one in like
How
country. Everybody
so?
loves him.
How was he?
He was okay. I mean, he was good. It's Tim McGraw, but last time we saw him was in Tahoe with a seat, so you can't beat that up in Tahoe.
So he's not it
Two,
wasn't as good as him individually performing in the setup for his
no,
individual.
because everybody was there for I think Tim McGraw, so we had a great spot with a blanket on the lawn. But as the concert creeped up, so did the crowd. And
Yeah.
for that, it was definitely a younger crowd. There was a guy that puked behind us, so
Mhm.
we moved up even further, moved the blanket. All in all, the crowd was great. Everybody was friendly, but everybody wanted to get up front, and we made friends with some farmers next to us from Merced. And during the show, there was a guy that said his mother was up front. He had to get up there to be with his mother, who's in a wheelchair. And as the guy was coming up, I said, wait a minute. There's a handicapped area for people in wheelchairs. So this guy just made up a story to get up front. So I was a little
Genius.
pissed off, and he actually stopped the guy, wouldn't let him by. But, Tim McGraw was good, played all his hits, wore super tight everything, and his cowboy boots and cowboy hats. So the women loved it. It was good, but not great. And then the second night was Sam Hunt, who to me,
he's not your
he's okay.
he's not your type of country. He's a younger person country.
Yeah, I think he's a collegiate football player that got into country.
Yeah,
right?
he's.
I can't
I
remember.
I don't really listen to too much country, but if I remember right, Sam Hunt's like a rapping kind of country. He's like talking rapping country kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it's not your style, so I wouldn't expect you to care much.
So we didn't stay Sunday night for that. Plus, we all work for a living. We had to get to work Monday morning. So but I will say the highlight, couple of bands I'll point out. Well, Brothers Osborne, Carly Pierce, Midland, Michael Ray, Parmalee, Lanco, Diamond Rio, and a bunch of other guys. But Diamond Rio, kind of an old time country band, enjoyed that.
Parmalee. Yeah, so let's sit into Parmalee real quick. So I say this because
since you've seen him,
I have seen him, and the weirdest thing I think, like in a weird circumstances, in my opinion. So there is a very small venue. I wouldn't say very small, but a small outdoor venue in the hometown where you currently live that is usually
it's a park.
It's a park, yeah. It's a little park amphitheater with it's at a pond. But it's not a stage. It's nice, but it's small. Like it's a little venue. Usually reserved for small bands, local bands that are from the 70s that no one remembers, or you remember specifically and no one else remembers. It's
like the Tubes,
and like it's usually reserved for small stuff. 1,000 people, 500 people, something like that. Like bands that don't headline anywhere or don't play large venues, and come to find out, just really, I think it was summer 2021, post still COVID, post COVID though, like a lot of restrictions.
Things have started opening back up.
Bands start touring, right? And we're looking at tickets, and lo and behold, Parmalee is playing. Parmalee, a band that we recognize from the radio, from they got big hits,
and I think Grammy nominated. I don't
think they're Grammy nominated, but they got big hits on the radio.
CMA Awards.
Yeah, they played like CMA. Like they're not a small group. Like they're country music stars. Like, and
they hit it big just as COVID.
Yeah, so they were
they hit it big for a day.
Yeah, so unfortunate timing. But they were playing at this small venue, and we just in our small town in Sacramento, like, so Parmalee was playing there. It was a great show. It was a fun show. They played a lot of songs that aren't country music that they covered, which was kind of cool.
Drops of Jupiter by Train, they do a great rendition of, which they did at the show.
Oh, that was a great, they do that really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we saw them at a small venue in our hometown of California, but they performed. They were not obviously not the next guy under, but just like still like they're a known band at the festival, and they performed at the festival. So how were they?
Yeah, they were kind of mid-range for the festival as far as the lineup. There's the guys that started, I don't know, 11, 10, whatever it is. They were later in the afternoon, kind of getting ready for the bigger acts. Let me ask you this. Were there 4 guys in the band when we saw them a year ago in that small theater in our hometown, or 3?
I
thought there were 4.
I thought there were 3. If I remember right.
Then that's what they had. Which, they're a great band, good music, but they're on this gigantic festival stage with 3 guys and nothing behind them but black curtains, and it was hot.
Production, yeah.
So our theory with playing in our little hometown park was that COVID things just opened up in California again. They just released a new album,
That was
so
that
they were
was
kind of
that's
testing
right.
the
That was their
waters.
album
That was the
opening
first show.
show. Yeah.
They had not done a show in 2 years.
Crazy.
So we are lucky, like my wife said, we had her drop us off so we didn't have to park. And she's going, "Oh my God, I know these. I love this song. I want to go." And she could have gone, and you really didn't want to go at first, but it was a good
I mean, I'm
show.
not a
And
huge country
yeah.
or concert guy, so like, if she
And I
wanted
wouldn't
to
consider
go,
Parmalee country. Uh, uh, you
they're kind
know,
of like country
let's
rock,
face it, half
I think.
yeah, half the songs they played were
Yeah, covers.
other bands' hits,
They did good.
like "Drops of Jupiter," for instance. So they put on a good show, very good. For me, the highlight of the festival was a band I'd been wanting to see. There's some story. I'd wanted to see them in New York and bought tickets for somebody in the family that didn't go, but that's a whole nother story. It was a band called Landco, and they put on a great show. But if you saw pictures of it and watched it, you would say they're not country. Um, but they were phenomenal. Great crowd reaction, a great interaction with the crowd. The music was good.
They're kind of
And
like folky country.
well, I I don't know if there's a term, but someone asked me, well, what are they like? And I go, they're alt country,
Bluegrass?
alternative country. And if there's not that term, I think I just want to
Are
start
they
that
are they
term,
like
alt country.
bluegrass?
They are. I mean, they're from Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, the band members, but they're, I think, all in their 20s, maybe early 30s. They're
I
bros,
feel like they're like
hipsters.
folk, like bluegrass country, like a mix
I
of
think
those
they would
three.
have played, what's that one up in the Blue Ridge Mountains near Blacksburg, that concert,
I know what
the
you're talking about, but I don't remember the
festival?
name of it.
Yeah,
And
yeah. They would have
Floyd
probably
Fest,
done that.
Floyd Fest.
Floyd
Yeah,
Fest. They probably would have done that 4 or 5 years ago.
yeah.
Now, no.
The
But
other
they had some hits. They were
the other
great.
two. So I know that
Uh,
you like Brothers Osborne, Midland.
Brothers Osborne, I'm not a huge fan, but I became more of a fan at this show. The guitarist was phenomenal. Played the Thunder entrance. It reminded me of the football games. So it was a good show. They put on a great show. Midland, first time I'd ever seen him outside like a bar, honky tonk like Billy Bob's. So always been a fan of Midland, and they put on a great show. Always recommend Midland to anybody who's not into country or just wants to see Americana. Like our buddy Joseph from Prague would have loved this festival. And I think he'd love Midland because they wear the outfits. They're kind of kitschy. So, other than that, I would also say, I think the only female act was
Oh,
Carly
Pierce.
Pierce,
Yeah.
which she was very good. Obviously, typical country. She kind of reminded me of Faith Hill a little bit, the way she looked and everything. But all in all, it was a good show. But if we continue to get comped, I'd go. But
I don't know how much the
you know,
tickets were. Was it?
I think the tickets were about 150 to 200 for
So
VIP.
what do you think
Which,
value was? What do you think the determination?
well, if you're a
Well,
country fan,
okay,
I think that's
so
pretty good
single
because you're seeing a ton of bands. If you go, especially for the whole
yeah, so
festival.
weekend pass the cheapest weekend pass if you bought it early was $90. Bought it
How much?
$90. If you bought it late,
Oh, for a one
no,
day.
for weekend pass.
Oh, well, see, that's
If you
pretty
bought it
good.
late, it was a 130. So if you bought it like last minute, it was a 130 weekend pass. And then
Well, I mean, when you consider Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen, this summer's tour was sold out. We're going for 300 minimum for general admission, up to
I mean
$1,000.
for Tim McGraw,
This show was a
yeah,
bargain.
a Tim McGraw
And you
show.
saw Tim McGraw, he's a major draw, and he was the big draw, and it was packed out for it. But for me, it was Midland and Lanco were the two big draws for me. Parmalee, because I kind of feel like they're our hometown band now,
North
and I want to
Carolina
encourage
boys.
them. Yes, where are they
I think
from?
they're
Oh, that's right,
Carolina
Carolinas.
boys. Yeah,
Yeah, they are, and they mentioned that too. So definitely
they
got me
yeah
as a
they
fan for
started in
that.
like a bar if I remember correctly. VIP passes they
Yeah.
sold out. Cheapest were 200 early on, and then 260 for the VIP. So not actually a fairly cheap VIP pass. I'm surprised.
Yeah, how much
That's why
were
there were so many.
yeah, and I think they had different levels of VIP, but I'm not sure because it was kind of funny. they keep an aisleway between the sound and production booth up to the stage. Like the guy from Lanco down came through there and just hopped into the crowd. But I did see there were people with like
I think
VIP
that's like
badges, and they had
special
somebody,
guests, like not
but
somebody you can
all they
buy.
did was walk. So they had their cameras. They couldn't stop, but they could walk by. And I thought, kind of like we're talking about Martin, it kind of looks stupid to
Yeah,
me. I'm a VIP, so I get to walk through and look at the band and then exit right, kind of
yeah.
thing.
I think
But
they. I don't
the
think
one,
you'd buy those.
yeah, I think the one thing for the promoter that I would say is like Tortuga, maybe build for each main stage a platform with seats for some. Obviously you're going to pay more, where you don't have to bring a blanket and stand freaking all day long. I would love to have a reserve seat for something like this, where I don't need to worry about rushing to
Yeah,
the next show to
I mean
get a spot. That would be
yeah,
VIP.
that's just super uncommon for festivals. Like extremely uncommon to have like seating alone of like stadium style seating. I guess tiered seating, and
Yeah, but
then
this is
and then
country. It's not Lollapalooza.
reserve seating. Like, well, I mean, you'd think what's the big giant country stagecoach? Yeah, that
Stagecoach.
I mean that's the same kind of
Yeah.
concept but bigger. And there's no like reserve seating or anything for that. There's no tiered seating. Like there are like VIP areas, but you know, if
Yeah. I would go to that if somebody comps me tickets for
oh
that as well,
you would
or a
die.
sponsor.
You would not make it.
I know. I don't. Anybody who knows California, the Coachella Valley out there is
You would
desert,
not make that.
and you're talking basically
Yeah,
dust.
I
I mean, you had your own experience out there with
yeah, I did Coachella.
what's the big
I
show?
did Coachella. Yeah,
Coachella.
Coachella Valley. Um,
Lost your car keys.
But yeah, I mean,
Um,
just I won't talk too much about it. But yeah, as for you, if you don't like your 2 day experience of a very small festival, you would definitely not stand stagecoach for 3 days, especially in
yeah, my
India.
idea for any festivals would be, if I could afford it or got comped, a super VIP level. Or I know an artist, hey, Lanco,
You
hook me up, buddy. I'm going to promote you as much as I
should
can.
reach out. We'll interview
If
them.
those guys get gave me backstage passes, or Parmalee, or Tim McGraw, or Carly Pierce, a backstage pass where I could get away from the crowd and just sit, or maybe in the media lounge. So, but I was talking to folks in the media at the uh, Golden Sky, and they say, it's not that great. It's just basically a bar and some seats in the media
Yeah,
lounge.
a place to
So,
upload some stuff.
but so I would say for the promoter of Golden Sky and for Sacramento in general, great success. You did a great job logistically with parking. It's down at the on the river in Sacramento, close to downtown. I don't know what it was like for hotels. I was surprised at the amount of people from out of town in. And when I say out of town, mostly from the San Joaquin Valley, which is farmer cowboy country. So people may have an impression of California, but if you're not living on the coast, there's plenty of cowboys in California and farmers. I mean, we are the breadbasket of the world. So that was the main part of the crowd. And even for Aftershock, I remember I was traveling and coming into town. I thought, why is everybody at the airport wearing black with nose rings and purple hair? And I forgot it was Aftershock. So people do travel from around the world, I understand, for Aftershock, because that is like one of the top festivals for heavy metal
Yep,
and
yep.
rock.
So,
So with that,
want to end it here? You want to say a couple words? I know you went to a comedy show, local comedy show.
oh yeah, yeah. I know Carson loves to go to
Oh,
comedy
love,
shows.
but
I
I
really don't go
enjoy. So
much.
yeah, when it
Yeah. Well, you enjoy it. And I think in Europe, it's, since you've been to the English speaking ones, it's a cultural thing too, to see
yeah, learned a little
and hear
bit.
the
Yeah,
comedy, and maybe hear somebody speak English for a whole hour. I did go to one at an old theater this last Friday night. God, what was the guy's name? Greg Warren. And it was very good.
any
I enjoyed it.
any
People looked at me like I'm not the kind of guy that laughs at everything. The guy in front of me, the guy would put his hands in the pocket, and the guy was laughing at it. Uh,
any
he was
I was gonna say, any interesting topics, I guess, did he cover, or was he pretty sensitive on his topics, or did he go?
you know what was interesting, and I kind of related to it because he used to be in sales for Procter and
Oh,
Gamble,
interesting.
and he sold. And I don't want to get this wrong because that was a whole part of this act, but it was really funny. He sold Jif peanut butter,
Oh, that's wild.
and so he really laid into the people that bought anything other than Jif peanut butter, especially the organic stuff, and
Skippy.
you know stupid things like why do they charge more for crunchy peanut butter when it's not finished? Just and I'm going,
Peanut
wow,
butter jokes.
that was it was funny. Yeah. I mean, people could relate to it. The guy had really didn't look at the crowd. There were three comedians, and he was very good. I would go see him again, and I would
but
recommend people to
but
go
he
see
made
him.
something that is not normally a comedy topic funny, which is
No,
a
yeah,
sign of a
that's
comedian.
what was interesting
Yeah.
about it. And with used to people like I grew up with Andrew Dice Clay and Richard Pryor, and there weren't a lot of there wasn't a lot of profanity at the show. And the one thing I did notice is that it was an older demographic, which as we sat down, I'm going like I was looking around. I thought maybe Sun City had sponsored it or something, but there were some younger folks in the crowd,
It's
and it
it's
wasn't a
interesting you mentioned that, because the most profane, I guess, of word choice has come from the bigger comedians that I've seen. So Jimmy Carr was by
yeah,
far the most profane of all the comedians I've seen. The smaller ones,
really
the smaller comedians, not even close, not profane at all. Yeah, I mean
wow.
there'll be like some profanity, but like it, I've always noticed that as you grow as a comedian, you get more profane,
You
because I
get
think
more
you
ability,
don't care as
especially in
like,
today's cancel
yeah,
culture.
I think that's
Yeah,
where they're like, oh man, I can't be stopped, so I can kind of just do what I want. And like I think the bigger comedians are more profane. Even a guy like Kevin Hart, I think, is that same way. Whereas like some of these
yeah.
smaller guys I see local, they'll have some profanity in it, but it's not like laced with it like a lot of the larger comedians are.
Well, there was uh, the guy that emceed and opened was Morty, and it turns out he's a mortician. He's a local guy. He was pretty good.
That's
He was a good
that's great
MC.
comment topic.
But yeah, Morty the mortician. But in between, I mean, he was really a mortician. This was his
Yeah,
side
he's
gig
probably got a lot
hobby.
of content.
Yeah, a lot of dead
Yeah,
jokes. In between was a woman that's like a housewife, a local woman that just does comedy on the side. She was actually really hilarious, and I can't think of the jokes, but like talking about cats and dogs and kids, and
relational
she
comedy.
actually, yeah. After we got out, somebody said, "Man, she really had laid out a lot of f bombs." I go, "Really? I didn't even notice because I was expecting more." Um, and then, like I said, Greg Warren was really good. Was unique in that he was a guy in sales for a major corporation like Procter and Gamble, selling of all things peanut butter. So uh, I'd say, yeah, support your local comedian and your national comedians. It was a good show.
That's good to hear. So, um,
So yeah, with that, Golden Sky Festival, a great festival first year. I think it's just going to get better, probably bigger names. And then again, support your local
yep. And then
comedians.
we'll end. Shout out to again to Red Bull and Max Verstappen for the championships in F1. Still a few races left. The one thing Max is still racing for is the most wins in a F1 season. Although he has
Yep,
acknowledged, and everyone should acknowledge, that
more
there's a lot more
races.
races now. So right now
Yeah.
he's tied with Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel at 13 in a season. Again, Schumacher's record is completely different than if Max gets it, or stays at 13. Um, but still an accomplishment, still technically a record, and to win 14 races or more potentially is, you know, is the dominance of Max Verstappen this year for sure. So with
Yep.
that, we'll end it here.
Well, good with that.
Um,
Choose. Everybody have a great week.
Talk to you.
Stay tuned for next episode, And I'll give you a little teaser. It's about Coach Carson.
Coach Carson. We'll leave the sport to tease that one to hear. We'll catch you next time on the At Wits End podcast. Again, find us on our YouTube channel at Wits End and our TikTok at Wits End with an _. So long.
Cheers.